Hi, welcome to lesson 1.3. As you can see, we're using a page out of your textbook. It is page 19, which you might be thinking, wait a minute, that's the homework page. That can't be right. It's Friday, so therefore you don't have a homework page. So this one puts all the different types of questions on one side of one page, which is why we're going to go ahead and use it. So as always, I recommend that you write down your work on actual page 19, and then rip it out of your book, cut it smaller, glue it into your journal. We are still going to set up our journal page for today. It's page M6. This is lesson 1.3, September 11th, 2020. Let's go ahead and get started. So today's lesson is all about exponents and what exponents are, what they do, what they mean. So I'm going to have you write down all of the work that I do today, just to make sure that you are understanding what it is that exponents are and how they work. So we're going to start right in with question number 1, and it says identify the base, exponent, and power for the expression, we read this as 10 to the power of 3 or 10 to the third power. So we're going to set up a little answer spot for ourselves. The base is whatever number is in larger type, the number that's touching the same line that the words are on. In this case, the base is 10. As you can see, that 10 is a larger type there, and if we draw a line going from expression over to 10, you can see that 10 is right there on that same line. So our base is 10, and the exponent, E-X-P-O-N-E-N-T, the exponent is the number that's written a bit higher up. It's got smaller type, or when you're handwriting it, you write it a little bit smaller. And in this case, the exponent is going to be 3. So you can see that 3 is floating and it's a bit smaller. That's how we can tell that it's the exponent rather than the base. So the exponent is 3, and the power, that's the whole thing put together. So that's 10 to the power of 3, or 10 to the third power. Notice how when I wrote that, I made my 3 small, I made it floating high up, but I made my 10 matching that same line as the power. So now let's look over at number 2 and talk about what that even means. What is 10 to the power of 3? What are we doing here? Actually, before I get on to number 2, I'm going to write out what 10 to the power of 3 or 10 to the third power means. What are we doing? Why are we writing this exponent? What this means is you take the base times itself, however many times are in the exponent. In this case, our base is 10. So I'm going to write here, and I want you to write as well, 10 to the power of 3 is 10 times, well, let's see, it's an exponent is 3, so 10 multiplied by itself 3 times. So 10 times 10 times 10, because it's 10 to the power of 3, so we're taking this 10, and we're going 110, 210, 310. That is where the exponent comes from. Now let's go on to number 2 and write 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 as a power. So what number are they multiplying together? They're multiplying 10. So that tells us that our base is 10. How many times did they multiply it? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is going to be 10 to the 5th power, or 10 to the power of 5. Pretty cool that we can take something that takes up this much space and we only need this much room to write it. It's kind of like you know a secret code now. Now we're going to look at number 3 here. and we're going to use patterns to help us multiply. So you have known for a few years now that anytime you multiply a number times 10, you simply take that number that you're multiplying by and pop a 0 on the end. So 6 times 10 would be 60. Good job. Well, when we multiply by 100, we're not going to put 1 0 on the end. How many do you think we're going to put on the end of that 6? That's right, it's going to be 2 zeros because 6 times 1 is 6, and then there are 2 zeros. You can also count by hundreds to think this one through and start to understand the pattern. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. 6 times 1,000, well, we go 6 times 1 is 6, and then there are 1, 2, 3 zeros. So we put 3 zeros on the end to get 6,000. Finally, 6 times 10,000. Again, we look, 6 times 1 is 6. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros on the end. So we put 4 zeros after our 6. So that becomes 60,000. So do you see how that works? We had 6 times 1 is 6. 1 0 makes it 60. All the way down. So as we increase the number of zeros that we are multiplying by, we increase by the same amount of zeros right there in our answer. I'm going to skip ahead to number 6. It says find the value of each expression. So now they're looking, they don't want us to just write like we did up above, 10 times 10 times 10. They want us to come up with an actual number answer. In order to do that, though, we do have to write out the math. We're going to do that first, and then I'm going to show you a tip. So 10 to the power of 3, we know that the base is 10, and we're multiplying 10 by itself 3 times because this exponent is 3. So that's going to be 10 times 10 times 10. Whoops! It would help if I actually wrote the number 10. So how do we solve this? Well, just like whenever you're adding multiple numbers, multiplying multiple numbers, I like to just start with 2 at a time. We know that 10 times 10 is 100 times 10. Well, 100 times 10, anytime we multiply by 10, we put another 0 at the end of whatever we're multiplying by 10. So 100 times 10 would be 1,000. Now, I'm going to show you a trick. Okay, so 10 to the power of 3 is 1,000. This only works when the base is 10. Okay? So, look at the number 1,000. How many zeros does it have? That's right, it has 3 zeros. Check out what the exponent is. The exponent is 3, so when the base is 10, we're going to underline that. When the base is 10, the exponent tells how many zeros. So, 10 to the power of 3 would be 1 with 3 zeros. We don't take the number of zeros and put it after our 10. You just take the 1 and then you put the number of zeros that are in the exponent. Again, this only works when the base is 10. Let's move on to number 7 and see this in action. Okay, so we have 2 times 10 to the 4th power. So we're going to start by working with this 10 to the 4th power first. Okay, so 10 to the power of 4. We're going to start with, the base is 10, so we can use this when the base is 10 tip. It's going to be a 1, followed by how many zeros? Well, the exponent is 4, so that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. We put our comma over the hill. It goes right here, 10,000. Now we're going to do 2 times 10,000. And that's going to give us, well, 2 times 1 is 2. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 20,000. All right, now would you like to see how I knew, just to double check that this trick works when the exponent is 10? Let's just make sure. So 10 to the power of 4, I'm going to come up here. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4 tens. 10 times 10 is 100. Times 10 times 10. 100 times 10, we take our 100 and put one more 0. So that's 1,000 times 10. 1,000 times 10, we take our 1,000 and one more 0. Check it out. We end up with 1 followed by 4 zeros. Just like when we used our shortcut. All right, so we're going to do just one more question for together for today. So I want you to, actually maybe we'll do 2. Yeah, let's go ahead and do both 8 and 9. So we have 9 times 10 to the power of 5. Our base is 10. So we know that 10 to the power of 5 is going to be 1 followed by, that's right, 5 zeros because the exponent is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have to put our comma in over the hill. It goes right in there. So 100,000. Now we're going to go 9 times 100,000. So 9 times 1 gives us 9. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros to put after our 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over the hill, so 900,000. All right, last one that we're going to do together for today is number 9. We've got 3 times 10 to the power of 2. So we're going to go ahead and see that 10 is the base here, so we can use our shortcut, we can use our trick, and it's going to be 1. How many zeros do we put after that 1? Very good. 2 zeros because the exponent is 2. So 1, 2. And then 3 times 100 gives us, well, 3 times 1 is 3, and we put 1, 2 zeros after that 3, so 300. Don't believe me? Let's check it. 10 to the power of 2 is going to be 10 times 10. The base is 10. We multiply it 1, 2 times because 2 is that exponent. 10 times 10, of course, is 100. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is just about what you need to know for lesson 1.3. More to come next week. Have a great weekend.